or transcendental knowledge. Lineage of transcendental knowledge, parampara, the knowledge in through parampara system. And also, Krishna in the third verse spoke to Arjun that why he is speaking Bhagavad Gita, this transcendental knowledge to Arjun only, because he is confident. For understanding transcendental knowledge, that sun god is how you seem, how you it is that you gave knowledge to sun god. How do I understand this? So then fifth verse Krishna says that we have taken all of you and me, both of us have taken many births. So the difference between you and me is that you don't remember, whereas I remember all of these births. And the sixth verse, Krishna spoke about the uniqueness of his appearance. He says, although I am unborn, still I come in this world. You know why? Because he says that I come out of my mercy and through my internal potency. So this was the sixth verse. Yeah, so this is the second section going on, the divine nature of Lord Krishna's appearance. So please recite the seventh verse now.
Mandar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yada yada hi dharmasya
धर्मस्य
ग्लानिर्भवति भारत
ग्लानिर्भवति भारत
युक्तानाम् अधर्मस्य
अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य
तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Translation: whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself.
Yeah. So when Krishna appears, Krishna is saying that I appear in a very unique way. But when does Krishna appear? So that's what Krishna is giving the reason for the appearance. Dharmasya glani bhavati. Dharmasya glani bhavati means whenever there is decline in the dharma or religious practice. What do you mean by decline in religious practice? Rise to other activities. Okay, rise to other activities.
People forget their what they are meant to get, meant to do.
Okay, when people forget their position,
Path of realization is lost.
Okay, path of realization is lost.
Devotees are troubled.
When devotees are troubled,
And Varnashram system get disrupted.
Varnashram system gets disrupted. Okay. Okay, regulative principles are not followed. So first we have to understand that dharmasya glani. Dharma is first of all vedo pranihito dharmaha. Whatever is spoken in the Vedas, that is dharma. So dharma is taught by Vedic scriptures, and Vedic scriptures are direct orders of the Lord. So when there is discrepancy in the following of Vedic scriptures, that is called as dharmasya glani. Dharmasya glani means discrepancy in following of Vedic scriptures. So what is it? Abhyutthanam adharmasya. So utthanam, abhyutthanam, adharmasya. So to raise the society from adharma, irreligion. So irreligion means acting against religious principles which are given by the Vedas. Tadatmanam sujamiham. So in order to reverse that situation, reverse the situation of predominance of irreligion and weakening of religion, this is the situation is there. In order to reverse this, Krishna says he appears. So this is very famous verse. If you remember, these are 2-3 verses which are most famous, right? One was Karmanyeva Adhikaraste. That is very famous verse. Karmanyeva Adhikaraste verse. Another verse is this one is very famous also. Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya. You ask any person, Hindu person, that which verses you know from Bhagavad Gita, typically he'll quote this verse also. Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glani. Probably because of Mahabharata TV serial, it became very famous. Yeah. So now, in the purport, Prabhupada said the word Srujami, literal meaning of Srujami is creation. So now, is the Lord being created? That's what we saw in previous verse. Then, if it is that the Lord is being created, then previous 2 verses become null and void, isn't it? Because Lord says that I sambhavami atma maya, I come by my own internal potency, and I am above this material nature. And then Janma Karma Chave Divyam, he says, my activities and these things are divine. So, of course, that is going to come ahead. His birth is divine. So, but basically, he's saying Aja. Aja means he's unborn. Unborn. So, how he can be created then? So, in this way, the word Srujami has to be understood in different way. Usual word Srujami is creation. But Prabhupada says in purport, the Sujami word cannot be used in the sense of creation, because according to previous one, there is no creation of the Lord's form or body. So the forms of the Lord are eternally existence. The forms of the Lord, they are never created and destroyed, unlike the forms in this world. This world, the forms are created at particular time and they are destroyed. But the Lord's form is never created and destroyed. It is always eternally present. So that's why the word Sujami means manifestation. This is another meaning of the word Sujami, means manifestation. Lord manifests himself as he is. So now, if you see, Srimad Bhagavatam has got, I think, first canto, 3rd chapter. The title of the 3rd chapter is Scheduled Incarnations. So Lord's manifestation is neither creation nor destruction. So it is a advent. Advent means avatar. Avatar means somebody is there already on the higher planets and he comes down on this planet. So that is called as avatar. So there are some schedules also of the Lord. And typically the scriptures describe what are the scheduled incarnations. Especially the same original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna from Vrindavan, original Vrindavan Dham, he appears when? Once in a day of Brahma. In detail?
12 Shadya.
Which time Krishna appears personally?
मनु के 27 महायुग के द्वापर
28th
7th Manu,
28th cycle.
Yeah, and
Dwapar Yuga.
Yeah, Dwapar Yuga, end of the Dwapar Yuga. So that is where Krishna personally comes, and that's how that time also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally come in same Kali Yuga. So in this way, Krishna appears in a scheduled time, and different incarnations they also come at different times. So, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that Krishna is bound by the schedules of this world. Prabhupada says so. He has no obligation to adhere to such rules and regulations because he is completely free to act in any way as per his will. So, Sujami Aham, I myself come, I myself descend. Means Lord comes by his own will. But general principle of the Lord's appearance is when there is predominance of irreligiosity and disappearance of true religion. And as we discussed, true religion means the principles laid down by Vedas. Vedo pranihito dharma from 6th canto. So dharma is written in Vedic scriptures. So when there is a discrepancy in the matter of following Vedas, when people forget their duties which are given in the Vedas, that time Krishna appears. So, and yes, the principles of religion are direct orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. So Prabhupada says that these principles are clearly indicated throughout Bhagavad Gita, and the purpose of Vedas is to establish such principles under the order of the Supreme Lord. So the whatever principles of Vedas are there, they are also spoken in Bhagavad Gita in a condensed form. And the Vedas also, that's how the goal of Vedas is to establish the orders of the Lord. It is to spread the orders of the Lord and establish them. So what do the Vedic principles do? They push a person towards complete surrender to Krishna. And whenever there are such principles are disturbed by the demoniac, the Lord appears. So basically, when the principle of surrendering unto Krishna is disturbed, the Lord appears. So from Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says, we understand that Lord Buddha is also incarnation of Krishna. So now amongst various incarnations of Krishna, Prabhupada takes one particular incarnation, that is Lord Buddha. So Lord Buddha is also incarnation of Krishna, and he typically appeared when there was a decline in religious practices, the practices given in the Vedas, isn't it? So what was happening during that time was when in the beginning of creation, in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the principles of religion started declining, and now in the Shastras there are certain regulations regarding animal sacrifices. Animal sacrifices are recommended for what? Not to eat meat, but to test the power of Vedic mantras and to taste the success of particular yajna performance. So for that animals are sacrificed. So any animal who is sacrificed, he gets various benefits. So although that animal appeared to be killed in the yajna, but his body is poured into yajna, and then when that animal is sacrificed, that time what happens? The mantra is tested. So if the animal should get immediately the fresh youthful form. So that is the taste of success of yajna, yajnik mantras. Also, that animals becomes free from the other lower species, evolutionary process of going through another lower species, and at the end of that life, that animal gets directly the human form of life. So in this way, the animal sacrifices were done. But then, what it mentions that Kali Yuga, Ashwamedham, Gavalambam, Sannyasam, Palapaitrukam, these are all forbidden. Devaranena Sutotpattihi. So these things are forbidden in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, animals cannot be sacrificed in this way. Why? Because the Brahmanas don't have that power to bring the animal back to life. So Brahmanas don't have that much power, and at the same time, there are a lot of discrepancies in the performance of sacrifices. So that's why Ashwamedham, Gavalambam, Ashwamedha sacrifice, Gomedha sacrifice, these are all forbidden. But what was happening, that the priests, they were not able to bring the animal back to life, but at the same time, they were saying that, so this is mentioned in the Vedas, that animal sacrifice is allowed. So in this way, the lot of animals were being mass slaughtered in the name of, not in the name of simply just, a form of sacrifice, but in the name of Vedas, they were being sacrificed, and eventually the habit became of eating the meat as prasad of the sacrifices. So the meat eating became very rampant in the name of Vedic sacrifices. So that's why at that time, so that time Lord Buddha appeared, and so there was the real religious principles became obscured, and people started unrestrictedly killing the animals in the name of Vedas, and in this way the good name of Vedas got spoiled. So that's why Lord Buddha appeared, and in order to, because Lord is father of all living entities, so out of compassion for these poor animals, Lord appeared to stop this nonsense purposes and to establish the principles of non-violence. So this is one example Prabhupada gives how Lord comes when there is decline in religious principles, and that's how he again tries to establish the Vedic principles. So in the beginning, Lord Buddha had to reject the Vedas because they were misused. Then eventually Shankaracharya came, Sripad Shankaracharya came in, then he again established the principles of Vedas. So in this way, every incarnation of the Lord has particular mission, and they're all described in revealed scriptures. This is one of the very important aspect, very important proof of a avatar. Means what? He should be mentioned in the scriptures. So Prabhupada says nobody should be accepted as an avatar unless he is referred to by the scriptures. Like that. So this we have to be very clear about. That nobody can be accepted as incarnation unless until he is mentioned in the scriptures. So now in the scriptures, that's why there are mentioned various incarnations which are mentioned. Like in Kali Yuga, there is a mention of Lord Buddha. There is a mention of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is a mention of Kalki. These are the three incarnations are mentioned in Kali Yuga. But at the same time, we should also know that it is not that these are at the end of Kali Yuga, there is no, that's it. The Shastras don't mention anybody else. If you go into the 8th canto, the Manvantara avatars for all the future Manus are also being mentioned. Who is going to come? Like there is an incarnation named Sarvabhauma who is going to come in future, next Manu. When Savarni Manu will come, that time this Sarvabhauma incarnation will happen. So then there are various other incarnations which are mentioned in the 8th canto. So there are future incarnations also mentioned. Of course, majorly Manvantara avatar mentioned. So in this way, there are various. So the incarnation means there has to be reference to the scriptures. Nobody should be accepted as an incarnation without such a reference. So when so many people are claiming themselves to be God, we have to ask whether their name is in Vedas or not. Their name has to be there in Vedas. Now Prabhupada said it is not that the Lord appears only in Indian soil. This is a common question, right? People say, Bharat mein sab kyun Bhagwan aate? Like Lord incarnation in Bharat, India only. So some people say because Bhagwan ने लिखा है अभ्युत्थानम अधर्मस्, नहीं यदा यदा ही धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत, ऐसा लिखा है कि भारत में जब ग्लानि होगा भगवान आते, ऐसा कुछ लोगों का इंटरप्रिटेशन है. So whenever there is a decline of religious principles in Bharat, that time Lord advance. But here Bharat doesn't refer to India. Bharat refers to Arjun, who is descendant of Bharat Maharaj. So we should not think that Lord appears. So that's why Prabhupada is clarifying that Bharat doesn't mean India. Bharat means the descendant of Bharat. That is reference to Arjun. So it is not the fact that Lord appears only in India. Lord appears in various places, like Narsimhadev appeared in Swargaloka, and Vamandev appeared in Swargaloka, Indra's place, right? So in this way, various places Lord appears. So Prabhupada says he can manifest himself anywhere and everywhere. And also Lord appears through his empowered incarnation, Shakti-Avesh avatars. At the same time, we see that all avatars, they don't manifest all the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, neither give the entire knowledge. So that's why Prabhupada says, in each and every incarnation, Lord speaks only as much about the religion as can be understood by the particular people. So that's why Lord Jesus Christ, what he says, although he is also kind of empowered prophet, but he says that I have a lot to tell you, but you cannot understand now. So I am telling you only partial things to you. So in that particular situation, whatever people can understand, that much only Lord gives them, and that's how Lord Buddha did not reveal the full understanding of devotional service and transcendental knowledge. He revealed only partially because the people had become extremely religious. So, in order to whatever they could understand, that much only he spoke. But ultimately, the mission is the same, to lead people to God consciousness and obedience to the principles of religion. So ultimately, the goal is to bring people away from irreligious activities, stop people from committing irreligious activities, and bring them to God consciousness. So Prabhupada says sometimes Lord personally descends, and sometimes he sends his bona fide representatives in the form of his son. So who is known as Son of Lord? Jesus Christ is known as Son of Lord. Or servant. Servant is okay. Who is known as servant of Lord?
Hanuman.
Hanuman? Not in a Vedic religion, other religions. Muhammad, yes. Prophet Muhammad is considered to be servant of Lord. He claims himself that I am servant of Lord. And Lord Jesus Christ also. As such, his name is Jesus, and he is servant, he is son of Christ. Like that. They call it Jesus Christ, like that. Or himself in some disguised form. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes in a disguised form. He comes as a devotee. Like that also. A Bhakta avatar. So in this way, in various ways Lord comes. He may come through some prophets. So he may come through some empowered Shakti-Avesh avatars. He may come himself. He may come through various types of incarnations. Like that. Ultimately, the principle is same, that is to establish the religious principles, bring people towards God consciousness, and refrain them from committing any wrong activities. So now Prabhupada gives example that how a particular way the Lord speaks is based on the circumstances, time, place, circumstances. So Prabhupada says, and ultimately the ultimate message is same. And Prabhupada says 2 + 2 = 4 in mathematical principle. That is true in beginner arithmetic as well as in advanced class. Still, there are higher and lower mathematics, isn't it? Similarly, the basic principles in all religious codes or the teachings of various incarnations, the basic principle is same. So this is the basic principle. Dharmasya glani abhyuthanam, in order to uplift the society from religion, to establish religion, to bring people nearer to God. These are the basic principles which are the same. At the same time, there are higher and lower mathematics. So when Krishna comes as a full-fledged incarnation, especially when he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gives the highest principles. When he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he spoke Prema Bhakti principles. But at every time he may not speak. At every time he may not speak on that level of Prema Bhakti and all that. He may speak of very basic religious codes. Love thy neighbor as yourself. Thou shalt not kill, or one should not have sex with one's own sister or mother. So these are very basic religious principles are taught sometimes. So the same principles are taught, but they appear to be higher or lower in varied circumstances. So now Prabhupada says, what do you mean by higher principles? When we say that sometimes there are higher principles, same mathematics is there, but there is a higher mathematics, lower mathematics. Lower means basic. Higher means, we know, right? We have experience. What do you higher mathematics? The first standard say mathematics chalu hota hai, but that is not same. Although the basis is same only, basic mathematics is same, but the highest mathematics on the PhD level is not the same. It has got more and more advanced concepts. So similarly, there are basic principles of religion, or you can say lower principles of religion, and there are higher principles of religion. But what do you mean by higher principles? Higher principles begin with varnashrama, like that. So when we say higher principles of religion, that means they begin with varnashrama system. And In this way, the whole purpose of the mission of the incarnation is to arouse Krishna consciousness everywhere. Ultimately, the goal is to arise Krishna consciousness, like that. So in this way, Krishna appears or advents. He is not born. He only seems to take birth. So in this way, Bhavami, Sujami means Krishna becomes manifest. He is not born or died. He becomes manifest. Now, so Krishna's able devotees can rectify the destruction of dharma. Again, भगवान को खुद आने का क्या जरूरत है? What is the necessity for the Lord to come? Even the devotees of Krishna can also rectify the destruction of dharma and the rise of adharma. So that is the answer. That answer which is given in the next verse, the 8th verse. So why does Krishna personally appear? Krishna performs such feats which are very difficult for others to do. So please recite 8th verse.
Mayapur Vihari Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे Translation: to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principle of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium.
Yeah.
Read forward, sir. Forward.
Yeah. So this is also very famous verse. Purpose of Krishna's appearance. So previous verse explained the time of Krishna's appearance. This verse is explaining the purpose of Krishna's appearance. Paritranaya sadhunam, to deliver the pious people. Vinashaya chadushkrita, to annihilate the miscreants. Dharma sansthapanarthaya, to re-establish the principles of religion. Thus says Sambhavami yuge yuge. I appear myself in every age, every millennium. Yeah, now you can read the purpose.
According to Bhagavad Gita, a sadhu is a man in Krishna consciousness. A person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualification of Krishna consciousness wholly and fully, he is to be understood to be a sadhu. And Diskritinam apply to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness. Such miscreants or Diskritam are described as foolish and the lowest of mankind. Even though they may be decorated with mundane education, whereas a person who is 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness is accepted as a sadhu. Even though such a person may be neither learned nor well cultured.
Yes.
As far as
Wait. Yes, thank you. So Prabhupada is giving definition of sadhunam dushkrutam. Sadhu means one who is Krishna conscious, always engaged in Krishna consciousness, although he may be little crude in his behavior. So sometimes we see that some devotees are not so well cultured, especially when we go for various functions, that time some devotees don't appear to be very well cultured. Or sometimes they may not be very much learned, but still such a person is considered to be sadhu. Why? Because he has accepted Krishna as Lord and he is engaged in the devotional service to him. In this way, he is considered to be sadhu. Dushkruti means who is against the principles of Krishna consciousness. He doesn't care for Krishna consciousness. Like that. Although he may be big post holder or very great educated person according to mundane calculation, he is considered to be Dushkruti now. So although he may be posing himself as a very advanced person according to mundane calculation. So now the Lord, Prabhupada says in the purport that Lord has many agents. Prabhupada of course gives example of Kamsa and Ravana. They are also one sense learned. It's not that they are foolish people, but they are like Dushkruti now. Why? Because they are against Krishna consciousness. So now there are many agents, Prabhupada says, who are quite competent to vanquish demons. In fact, material nature herself can kill all the demons, most of the demons. She is so powerful, Durga Devi. Why Lord has to come personally? So that's why Prabhupada says the Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees who are always harassed by the demoniac. And Prabhupada gives example of Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad. Although another example Prabhupada gives of Devaki and Kamsa. So they are although they are kith and kin, but still they were harassing their devotees, their devotee fellows. So in this way, Prabhupada says that Lord Krishna appeared primarily to deliver Devaki rather than kill Kamsa, but both were performed simultaneously. So Vinashaya cha Dushkrutam is not a very difficult task. Any agent of the Lord also can do, isn't it? Any agent of the Lord also can do it. But then, in order to please and deliver his devotees, Lord personally comes. So once upon a time, I don't know whether it's Akbar Birbal story or something like that. Maybe there is one story like this, So there, that king, he asked, why Lord has to personally come? He can to deliver his devotees. So many others are there who can also deliver his devotees, who can also save his devotees. Why Lord has to personally come? So this minister said, I will give the answer later on to you. Wait for some days. And then in this way, some days passed. And then the minister said to the king that let us go on a boat ride early morning. Can you please come on a boat ride and take your son also with us? And let us carry some ministers also. 1, 2 ministers. We all will go for a trip, picnic. So king said, okay, nice idea. All of them set out for early morning on a boat ride. And there were some ministers. There was son of the king and the king himself. And this minister was also there, whom king had asked that question. Suddenly in the middle, when the boat was in the middle of river, the minister, he pushed the son of the king into the water. उसको फेंक दिया पानी में. And the king was aghast. He said, what is this? And immediately the king himself jumped into the river and he saved his son. And he brought him to the boat and he started chastising this minister. You rascal, what are you trying to do? How you can push my son into this thing? For this you'll get a solid punishment. Just let us go to the land and I will solidly punish you. How can you do like this? So then he said, no, please do not feel bad. He said, I have done only to give the answer to your question. He said, what question? The question you had asked, that why do Lord personally come? Anybody can save Lord's devotees. So why do Lord personally come? To save his especially great devotees. So he said that, see, when your son was drowning, that time there were so many ministers present in the boat. Why you personally jumped, into the water? You could have told any one of us, hey, you go and You go and save, you go and save my son. He could have ordered any one of us. He personally jumped. Why? He said, because he's my son. I love him so much. How can I even think of not jumping myself? He's my own son. So, minister, same way, the devotee, same way, just like you have that great affection for your son, and you want to personally save him. Similarly, the Supreme Lord also has personal affection for his devotees, and that's why he personally comes. Like that. He doesn't tell his ministers or something like others to do. So that's why Prabhupada says Krishna came more to save Devaki than to kill Kamsa. Killing Kamsa is like a concomitant, it is like a automatically, it is a simultaneous thing which happens. But Krishna comes more mainly to please his devotees in order to save his devotees from demons who are harassing devotees. So Prabhupada quotes Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 2.263-264 verses. सृष्टि हेतु यही मूर्ति प्रपंच अवतारे सही ईश्वर मूर्ति अवतार नाम धरे मायातीत परव्यो में सबार अवस्थान विश्व अवतारी धरे अवतार नाम. The avatar or incarnation of Godhead descends from the kingdom of God for material manifestation, and the particular form of the personality of Godhead who so descends is called an incarnation or avatar. Such incarnations are situated in the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. When they descend to the material creation, they assume the name avatar. So in this way, there are planets of all the avatars. There are planets of Varahadev, Vamanadev, Nrsimhadev. These all planets are already existing in the spiritual world, but at particular scheduled time, or especially when the situation is of a religion, then these avatars, these particular forms of the Lord, they descend from their own planet in the spiritual world into the material world. And Prabhupada says Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord and is the fountainhead of all avatars. So, and what is the specific purpose of Krishna coming down? The specific purpose of Krishna coming down is to mitigate the anxieties of pure devotees who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastimes. And therefore, prime purpose of Krishna avatar is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. This is the very confidential way why Krishna himself comes, apart from other different incarnations. Why Krishna himself comes once in a day of Brahma in order to please his devotees who are very eager to see his original Vrindavan form, like that. So that is the most confidential way why Krishna comes himself. He doesn't come simply to kill some demons, although he does it. He doesn't come simply to save some pious people. He comes in order to please his devotees, to please devotees because they're always in anxiety, to see him. They're always in anxiety they're very eager to see him, to witness his pastimes, to associate with him. And for such pure devotees, Krishna himself comes. Now Krishna says that Yuge Yuge means every millennium Lord comes. So Prabhupada is practically taking one word and giving a lot of explanation about it. You must have observed. Take a word like a Prabhupada is explaining. That's why Prabhupada purports are so wonderful. They are so detailed, and they are very relevant also. Prabhupada makes things very relevant. So he comes Yuge Yuge means every millennium. That means he also comes in Kali Yuga. So, and what is his incarnation in Kali Yuga? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spread Sankirtan movement, congregational chanting of the holy names. And that's how he spread Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he spread the Krishna consciousness movement throughout India, everywhere. And also he predicted that this Sankirtan will be spread all over the world. Nagaradi Gram, Sarvata Pachar Hoide Moranam. So wherever there are, every town and village of the world, there will be his name spreaded. So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation for Kali Yuga. He is a Yuga avatar, and he is the one who have uplifted the irreligiosity. So we know from previous work that Lord Buddha came to take a first step. Lord Buddha took first step in order to correct the situation of irreligion. That is by stopping the unnecessary animal sacrifices. Next step was appearance of Sripad Shankaracharya. who came in order to reintroduce the Vedas. And then next step was appearance of Shripad Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka Swami, these four principal Vaishnava Acharyas who gave established the real teachings of the Vedas, the real essence of the Vedas, that is devotional service. And the topmost step was, the crescendo was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance in order to give the highest concept of Vedas. The highest, the gift of Vedas is Prema Pumartho Mahan. Prema Pumartho Mahan is love of Godhead. In order to give that, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. And he gave it everywhere. So Prabhupada said, this incarnation of the Lord, although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is incarnation of the Lord, but is mentioned secretly and not openly. So, where it is mentioned that he is secret avatar?
In Bhagavatam.
Krishna Varnam to Krishna.
Yes,
Okay. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishna.
Krishna.
And
Prahlad Maharaj prayers.
Prahlad
That is
Maharaj
in
prayers,
Kali
yeah. Kalu Chandnaha, Prahlad Maharaj says. In Kali Yuga you come as hidden incarnation. So, that's how some places Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's reference is there. So there are Upanishads. There is a Chaitanya Upanishad also, which is connected with Atharva Veda. In that there are a lot of references. There are a lot of things about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given 108 proofs from the scriptures of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one of this is Bhagavatam, which is mentioned. Chaitanya Upanishad has a lot of quotes. Bhagavatam is mentioning also. So as Amantu also quoted, Krishna Varnam Tushar Krishna, Tango Pangasla Parshada, Yajji Sankirtana Sajit Sumedasaha. Then Mahabharat says also, Suvarna Varna He Mango, Varangas Chandanangati, Sanyasakru Shama Shanta, Nishtha Shanti Paraya. So this is the reference of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance in Mahabharat.
Garga Muni also
Also, if
mentions.
you go to
Garga Muni also mentions the four colors he appears in four yugas.
Yeah, correct. 10th canto Garga Muni also mentions four colors of four yuga avatars. Correct. That is also true. Also, Vayu Puran and many other Puranas also clearly mentioning Sachi Sutta, Navdiv Dham, all these things are also being mentioned in various ways. So you can get that. Vishnu Sahasranam is in Mahabharata. That's what we quoted.
That is the same location.
That's from Vishnu Sahasranam. So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's names are confidentially mentioned in the scriptures. So the devotees of Lord Krishna are very much attracted by Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. So those who are devotees of Krishna, they are very much attracted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. And that's how so many, even the devotees from other sampradaya, they also very much get attracted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. I remember once we had gone to this Rameshwaram, South India Yatra in 2010, Srirangam. So there, in that Kartik Yatra, Srirangam Yatra, so a lot of Sri Vaishnavas had come. And they were so happy in participating in Sankirtan movement. They were dancing with devotees, along with devotees. Although usually in their sampradaya there is no dancing so much. Very occasionally they have dancing. It's not a regular affair. But they were very happy to chant and dance with devotees. So they all danced and chanted with Radhanath Maharaj. So they are top people, they dance with Radhanath Maharaj. Also, during Prabhupada's time, if you see in Hyderabad, Prabhupada had there, so that time many Sri Vaishnavas had come. And there are even photos of Sri Vaishnavas dancing along with our devotees. So because they are also devotees of Krishna, so they also very much like this movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sankirtan movement. And we go to many other sampradayas also, they very much appreciate this Sankirtan. Many places we see Sankirtan is very much appreciated. So like that. So Prabhupada says, this avatar of the Lord, he does not, because it is Vinashaya Dushrutam, he does not kill. One may say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he killed any Dushruti, he should be killing Dushruti, but he does not kill any person, but he kills their demoniac mentality and he delivers them by his causeless mercy. And that's why Parama Karuna Kohudu Vijana Ikai Gaura Chandra Sava Avatara Sada Shiramani Kevala Ananda Kanda. So that's the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's speciality, that he does not kill a demon, but he kills demoniac mentality of a person. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was about to kill Madhai, at that time Nityananda Prabhu said, "Oh Lord, we have not descended in this particular incarnation in order to kill people. If Madhai has to be killed, almost everybody has to be killed, because every person in this world has got demoniac mentality, especially in Kali Yuga. So, but we have come here to give them love of Krishna. So please do not kill Madhai, and please give him your mercy. We are here to kill their demoniac mentality." So this is the speciality of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's the crest jewel of all incarnations, like that. So in this way, Prabhupada mentions that the Lord comes to deliver the devotees. At the same time, Bhagavad Gita 14.26 also states that a devotee is already beyond material qualities and is in the transcendental position. So if devotee is already delivered, then what is the need for Krishna to come and deliver devotees? So in this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chandra Thakur and Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, they say that Krishna says, "I manifest myself to deliver the pious who are attracted by my beauty and qualities and who hanker to see me in person, to see my exclusive devotees from the misery of their material agitation. Their hearts are shattering out of eagerness to see me." So this is the confidential reason for Lord's appearance. To please his devotees, to relieve their anxiety to see the form of the Lord, and in this way to free them from their material agitation, like that. And Prabhupada also says similar thing. So Prabhupada says also, the prime purpose of Krishna avatar is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. Is the most confidential reason for the Lord's appearance. Now people say that all these things are happening now. Irreligion is predominant. Religious principles are being obscured. So why does Lord not come now? So what is your answer? Why does Lord not come now? Why he is not incarnating now? This is the same thing which is happening. Irreligion is becoming rampant, and religion is being obscured through principles of people.
कली काले नाम रूप कृष्ण अवतार.
Yes, Kali Kale Naam Rupe Krishna Avatar. Krishna has appeared in the form of his holy names. There is no difference between Krishna and his holy names. Through holy names, Krishna is already doing, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing this task of killing the demoniac mentality and uplifting the devotees, devotional spirit of the people. That is very good answer. Kali Kale Naam Rupe Krishna Avatar. Any other?
In Srila Prabhupada writes actually that this Hare Krishna movement or ISKCON movement is the incarnation of Sankirtan movement is incarnation of Chaitanya.
Yes, this is also very good answer. Sankirtan movement, Lord comes in the form of Sankirtan movement also. And ISKCON also is one of the branches of that Sankirtan movement. So with Sankirtan movement, this work of delivering the pious and annihilating the demoniac mentality has been being done. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's work is being continued to this Sankirtan movement also. Yes, very good. Any other answer?
Lord present as a Srimad Bhagavatam.
Srimad Bhagavatam.
Kali Yuga.
Okay, Lord is coming as Srimad Bhagavatam also. He is doing the same thing. कृष्णे सुधामो उपगति धर्मध्यानादिभिः सह कलौ नष्टदशामेष पुराणार्थो विनोदितः. Correct. Yes. Any other?
Just appeared like content.
Yeah, Lord has already come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Considering the whole time span, it's like very, very minimum time, just 500.
Yeah, it's a very small time ago Lord has come. So that's why Prabhupada is to say just 500 years ago. Because if you consider the amount of this thing, the span of the ages, 500 years is very small time. So that's why Prabhupada is to say. Just now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared. It is not that Lord has not come. Lord has come already. Through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through holy names, through Sankirtan Andolan, through Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord has manifested himself. Like that. Okay, so please go to 9th verse. Please recite.
Mayuresh Prabhu.
जन जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम
जन्म कर्म च
कर्म
मे
च मे
दिव्यम्
दिव्यम्
यो वेति तत्वतः
एवं यो
यो
वेत्ति
वेत्ति
तत्त्वतः
त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति
तत्त्वा
त्यक्त्वा
देहं
देहं
पुनर्जन्म
पुनर्जन्म
माम एति सो अर्जुन
नैति
नैति
मामेति
मामेति सो
सोऽर्जुन।
अर्जुन।
Translation: One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activity does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attain my eternal abode. Arjuna.
Yeah. So now one thing also we should note that even though Krishna may be punishing the demons, but it is also his mercy. It is also act of Lord's mercy because he bestows them the bliss of liberation by killing them for their misdeeds. So when Krishna is the killing demon, it is not his enviousness towards demons. Just like a mother may slap a child, not out of enviousness, out of love. Similarly, the demons are punished and killed by the Lord out of his boundless mercy upon them, so that they are rectified of their demoniac mentality, and in this way, they also they are liberated. That is also mercy. So and we know that there are various types of avtaras. Now, this particular verse is telling about knowing Krishna's appearance and activities. What is the result of properly knowing Krishna's appearance and disappearance? So this verse is very famous amongst devotees, right? Janma karma cha me divyam. Evam yo vyakti tatvata. One who understands that my birth and activities are divine. Tyaktva deham. What is the result of knowing such thing? Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti. That he doesn't take birth again into this material world. Mameti, he comes to me. So we see typically this verse is printed on Janmashtami cards. So Janmashtami also fast approaching. Almost less than 1 month is there for Janmashtami to come. You might have received also Janmashtami invitation cards. So typically this verse is printed. Janma karma chami vidyam. Like that. So this is the glory. If one knows the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and disappearance, then such a person gets such a great benefit. Prabhupada says that one who can understand such a truth is already liberated from material bondage, and therefore he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting his present material body. So in general, such a liberation is not at all easy. The impersonalists and yogis attain liberation only after much trouble. Klesho adhikatarastesha avyakta sakta chetasam. And many births. The yogis, impersonalists, they attain this particular perfection after lot of hard work, lot of troubles, and after many births. And even if they get that liberation, they may just get into Brahmajyoti liberation. It is a partial liberation when there is risk of returning to material world. But devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and activities, he can attain the position of eternal kingdom. He can go back home, back to Godhead. He can get the position of eternal servitude at the lotus feet of the Lord in spiritual world. So he doesn't have the risk of returning. Yad gatvana nivartante tadhama paramam. He never comes back. Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Napnuvanti mahatmanaha tam siddhim paramaptatam. They don't run the risk of returning to the material world. So simply what is that? Devotee has to have that understanding and faith that Krishna's activities and appearance are divine. Like that. It is so simple, right? Yeah. And then further, Prabhupada speaks about various incarnations. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadi, Ananta Rupam. So Prabhupada says that one of the very essential aspect of understanding Krishna's appearance and activities is that he has got many forms. There are multitudes of forms of the Lord. In fact, there are unlimited forms. Chaitanya Charitamrita mentions, just like there are unlimited waves in the ocean. Can we count the waves? 5 waves, 10 waves? No. There are unlimited waves in the ocean. Similarly, there are unlimited forms of the Lord. Anadi Ananta Rupam, but they are still one and the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hmm. So all these forms are non-different from the Supreme Lord, and that's why we have to understand Prabhupada says this fact with conviction that there are various forms of the Lord. So this also all devotees should have this conviction that there is no difference between Krishna, Rama, Vishnu. Especially in the terms of Tattva, there is no difference. Krishna, Rama, Vishnu, Narada, Narasimha, Vamana, all these various incarnations, Matsya, Kurma. So these are all various incarnations of the Lord, and they are one and the same. So in this way, that's why we see that when Lord Ram was in Dandakaranya, so that time when the sages of Dandakaranya got attracted to him and they wanted to have conjugal relationship with him, Lord Ram said that in my next incarnation I'll accept your request, not in this incarnation. So Ram said in my next incarnation. Why? Because there is no difference between Ram and Krishna. They are one and the same. And Prabhupada is quoting Purusha Bodhini Upanishad for that. Like this particular verse, Prabhupada is saying, Eko Devo Nitya Leelanurakto Bhakta Vyapi Rudi Antaratma. This is from Purusha Bodhini Upanishad. Yeah. So further Prabhupada says, simply by accepting this truth on faith, one can without a doubt attain liberation. The liberation can be easily attained simply by understanding transcendental nature of Krishna's and activities with faith. The liberation which is so difficult for other transcendentalists to attain. The Vedic version Tattvamasi is actually applied in this case. Anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the supreme, or who says unto the Lord, you are the same supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, is certainly liberated instantly, and consequently his entrance into transcendental association of Lord is guaranteed. So actual meaning of Tattvamasi Prabhupada is telling that you are the same Brahman whom impersonalists are meditating upon. And in this way, Prabhupada gives further Vedic version from Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Tameva viditvati mrityumeti nanyah pantha vidyate naya. One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing this thing about the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no other way to achieve this perfection. There is no alternative way. So Prabhupada says, even though the empiric philosophers may assume very important rules in material world, but they are not necessarily eligible for liberations. Although they may speculate in various ways, but they are not eligible for liberation. They have to wait for causeless mercy of the devotee of the Lord. Then only they can attain liberation. Simply by speculating in various ways, simply by propagating various philosophies and theories, one cannot become eligible for liberation. The only qualification is that they have to wait for the devotee mercy, causeless mercy of the devotees. Then they become eligible for liberation. So this way. So in this way, Prabhupada has given very long purport to this, all these three famous verses. So in this way, Krishna describes the result of realizing transcendental knowledge. A devotee achieves liberation and never has to take birth again in this material world. Vishwanath Thakur, what he says, such a devotee becomes free from the matter even before leaving his body, even though he is living in the material world, but he becomes free from matter. He becomes free from the influence of material world. Yeah. So how can you tell to a person how Krishna's activities and birth are transcendental? Can you give some 1-2 points about transcendental nature of Krishna's birth?
When Lord appeared.
Yeah, when he appeared, he came in a Chaturbhuja form. He showed his Chaturbhuja form. Yes. Any other? He was smiling, unlike a normal baby. He was smiling and also speaking. Yeah. Any other?
It has also been mentioned that unlike normal Lord transferred from the heart of Vasudeva.
Yeah, Lord transferred himself from the heart of Vasudeva to the heart of Devaki. So he was not conceived through seminal discharge. Any other?
The parents of a child, they don't pay obeisances to the child when he is born, but here Vasudeva and Devaki were paying obeisances to Lord Krishna.
Yeah, Vasudeva Devaki realized that he is Supreme Lord, so they paid obeisances and offered prayers. Okay, any other?
He was born with all the ornaments and
Orna.
Yeah, he was born not like a naked child. He was born with nice patambar, vastra, and all the ornaments. Correct. With nice ample hairs also.
He was having color like alsi flower. That is different. With
Okay. Atasi flower, he was having the color of that.
When he was born, he was laughing and smiling.
Yes, that is already spoken.
He
Demigods
never
came to
becomes
offer
old.
prayers before his birth. Yes, demigods came to offer prayers before his birth. Okay, and
He never become old. Always young. Never
okay,
become old.
about his activities, he never becomes old. Right?
Signs on the charan.
Yeah, there are various symbols on Krishna's lotus feet
Symbols.
and hands.
That small baby Lord Krishna, he was talking to parents.
Yes, he was talking to his parents. So generally, we see that a child, when he goes in the Kumbh Mela or some fair, then the parents put some chit in his pocket, because sometimes if the child is lost, he cannot even tell his name also. You have observed that sometimes the child is crying, ask what is your name, what is your parents' name. The child cannot say even his name, now other his parents' name, not to speak of their numbers. So sometimes the parents may put a chit in the child's pocket, that agar kho gaya to person can open the chit and contact the parents. But here Krishna, even as a baby, not only he told the name of his mother, father, he told them 3 previous births also. So this is what is the divinity of Krishna's appearance. He was able to tell the previous births of his parents, not to speak of current name, that he was able to tell us. So in this way, the various ways we can see that Krishna's appearance is divine. And also so are his activities also. Similarly, we should be able to speak about Krishna's disappearance also. So devotees should be very conversant with these 3 things, that how Krishna's appearance, his disappearance, and all his various activities. So activities like expanding himself into 16,108 forms in order to meet with all his queens every day. Also killing demon Putana when he was simply some 6 weeks old. With so similarly like that, so many pastimes, so many extraordinary activities he does. So we should all know, we will be very well conversant with this, because people may ask, what is divine about Krishna's birth? We should be able to. What is divine about Krishna's activity? We should be able to tell. What is divine about Krishna's disappearance? That also we should be able to tell. Like that. Okay, so please recite 10th verse.
Mridul Krishna Prabhu.
वीतराग भया क्रोध
वीतराग भया
क्रोधा
मन्मया माम उपश्रितः
मन्मया माम उपाश्रितः
बहवो ज्ञान तपसा पूता मद्भवान् अजातः Translation: being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me.
Yes. So knowers of Krishna, this is the further sequel to the 9th verse. That knowers of Krishna, how they develop love for Krishna. That's what Krishna is describing. Vita raga bhaya krodha manmaya mam upashritaha. Being freed from raga means attachment, bhaya means fear, krodha means anger. Manmaya mam upashritaha. Fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me. Bhavo jnana tapasa. Many persons in the past, by the strength of their austerity and knowledge, they have become purified. Uta madbhava magataha. They have attained love for me, like that. So this verse, Krishna is telling, giving the testimony. So one of the lectures on this verse, Srila Prabhupada was telling that Krishna is not telling that this time, this is the first time I am telling you this knowledge. With this knowledge, this is not a new knowledge. By application of this knowledge which I am teaching you and the process of devotional service, many people in the past have become purified and they have attained to the the eternal nature. So that's what Krishna is telling. So basically, Krishna is telling Arjun that we are not experimenting with you first time, chalo, whether it works or not. This is a time-tested, time-tested philosophy, time-tested knowledge, time-tested process. So for devotees also very important this thing to know that sometimes it may seem that whether this process is working or not, whether this knowledge is perfect or not. So for that Krishna is telling this particular point that it is time tested. So many people have taken to this knowledge and they have perfected, they have attained the highest perfection of life. So many people have gone back home, back to Godhead by following this process of devotional service. Don't doubt, this process works. Many devotees before departing from this world, they told like this: don't doubt on this process works. This process works like that. So many people have attained, because the nature of this process of devotional service is sublime. It is not so gross. Sometimes the gross things are not visible. It is not that slowly two more hands are manifesting. They are half manifested from our body. ऐसा कुछ दिखता नहीं है. तो मन में आती है, अरे कुछ कुछ हो रहा है कि नहीं. So Krishna is telling, don't worry. So many people in the past have taken to this knowledge. They have become purified. They have gone back to Godhead. And we see even in ISKCON society there are so many cases. It is not only of some Satyuga and previous millennium that it happened. Even within ISKCON, within Prabhupada's disciples, there are so many cases of devotees. If you hear His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj, this departure and the kind of things, experiences, or even Sridhar Swami Maharaj, how they were telling that one lecture, His Holiness Sridhar Swami Maharaj was telling that I have got such wonderful realizations. I cannot share much of them with you. They are quite confidential. But I can tell you that these are all, like the process of devotional service is really given me a lot of, wonderful results. Like that, there is some 5-10 minutes clip, one of the final clip, I think so, is on Sridhar Swami Maharaj. So like that, so many examples are there. Is on Bhakti Maharaj and so many. Kunti Devi Mataji. So there are so many such pastimes. Actually, we have to know from Prabhupada disciples. They know about other their god brothers and god sisters' departure. How they have departed. In this world. There is one Nirguna Prabhu. Indrananda Maharaj has written a big offering for this Nirguna Prabhu. So like that, so there are so many such examples of devotees who have attained that. So don't think that this is the first time you are being experimented about this process. This process is sure and perfect. It is only that a person, the candidate has to sincerely follow it. The degree he sincerely follows, he will surely get the result. There is no doubt about it. That's why this verse is spoken. Bahavo jnana tapasa puta madbhava madhitaha. Yeah. Now, it is very amazing that we may think that what is the qualification? Vita raga bhaya krodha. One should become free from raga, attachment, bhaya, fear, krodha means anger. One has to become free from these three things. Prabhupada gives a very special meaning of these three things. What do we mean by raga? So Prabhupada says, generally people who are attached to the bodily conception of life are so absorbed in materialism that it is almost impossible for them to understand how Supreme Lord can be a person. So, one first is raga means attachment to material conception of life. Like that. Attachment to material conception of life. And in this way, such materialistic cannot imagine that there is a transcendental body is imperishable, full of knowledge and eternally blissful. In the materialistic concept, the body is perishable, full of ignorance and completely miserable. Therefore, people in general keep this same bodily idea in the mind when they are informed of the transcendental form of the Lord. For such materialistic men, the form of gigantic material manifestation is supreme. Consequently, they consider supreme to be impersonal. And because, so this is raga. Raga means attachment to material conception of life. And they feel that even the Lord's form is also material. And they feel that material form is all in all. And that's how they are very much engaged into sense gratification, or very much body centered or material world centered. Even so much so that they even bring down the Lord's form to the material platform also, because they feel that the form means it has to be material and there is no other way. So in this way, they have only material conception of life, which they even superimpose on the Supreme Lord also. So this is raga. Raga means attachment to material form. Now second is bhaya. What is that bhaya? Because they are too much materially absorbed, the conception of retaining the personality after liberation from matter frightens them. When they are informed that spiritual life is also individual and person, they become afraid of becoming persons again. So they naturally prefer a kind of merging into impersonal void. Generally, they compare the living entities to be bubbles of ocean which merge into the ocean. That is the highest perfection of spiritual existence attainable without individual personality. In this way, they are afraid. Array, after liberation, still I have to maintain this personality. And personality means personality conflicts. एक दूसरे का झगड़ा होगा, उधर भी झगड़ा होगा. Personality means this body has so many diseases, so many trouble it gives. So if I have to be person again after this life, it is so much troublesome. Better to annihilate this personality and individuality and just merge into Brahman and be peaceful and shanti. So they are afraid. That is bhaya. Afraid of being persons again. Afraid of individual personality. This is also sequel to material conception of life, because there is no information that there is a blissful, eternal, the free from anxiety, free from all troubles, such a personality also is possible. So that is bhaya. Furthermore, now third part is krodha. Krodha means anger. Furthermore, there are many persons who cannot understand spiritual existence at all, being embarrassed by so many theories and by the contradiction of various types of philosophical speculation. They become disgusted or angry and foolishly conclude that there is no supreme cause and that everything is ultimately void. Such people are deceased in the diseased condition of life. Some people are too materially attached. So in this way, this is krodha. Krodha means too many philosophies, so many different philosophies. So they feel that, oh, there is no certainty of what is the ultimate thing. So ultimate thing is void only. There is nothing ultimate. That's what they see. So they become very angry with various philosophies which come. And in this way, they feel it is void. So this is bhaya, raga, bhaya, krodha. So in this way, Prabhupada is summarizing. Some people are too much materially attached, therefore they cannot give attention to spiritual life. That is raga. Some of them want to merge into his supreme spiritual cause, and some of them disbelieve in everything. So second is bhaya. Third thing is krodha. Beginning being angry at all sorts of spiritual speculation out of hopelessness. This is krodha. This last class of men take to the shelter of some kind of intoxication also, and their affective hallucinations are sometimes accepted as spiritual vision. Any example? Hippies. Yeah. They also were so much confused about various philosophies, and they thought that the spiritual realization happens through intoxication, and that hallucination is considered as spiritual vision. So they wanted to go high for some time, but they used to come down like that. One has to get rid of all the three stages of material consciousness. Again, Prabhupada is quoting three kinds of material consciousness: attachment to material life, fear of spiritual personal identity, and the conception of void that arises from frustration in life. Bhaya, raga, bhaya, krodha. So, then becoming free from this concept, what one should do? Manmaya mam upashritaha. Take complete shelter of the Lord, guided by bona fide spiritual master, and follow disciplines and regulative principles of your life. This is called taking shelter of the Lord. Means take guidance from the devotees, spiritual master, and follow the regulative principles of the service. And then what is the result? Puta, person will become purified, and mad bhavam agataha. Now Prabhupada starts commenting on bhavam agataha. So for bhava, Prabhupada quotes Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu. There, Adav Shraddha, Tata Sangha, Tata Bhajana Kriya, Tato Anartha Nivritti Syat, Tato Nishtha Ruchi, Tataha Atha Saktis, Tato Bhavas, Tataha Prema Abhyudanchati. Sadhakanam ayam premnaha pradurbhave bhavet kramaha. In the beginning, so how does one accept one gets to the stage of bhava. So Prabhupada quotes in general the process of sadhana bhakti, beginning with there is a preliminary desire for self-realization, adau shraddha. This will bring one to the stage of trying to associate with devotees, sadhu sangha, who are spiritually elevated. In the next stage, one becomes initiated by elevated spiritual master, and under his instruction, the neophyte devotee begins the process of devotional service, that is bhajana kriya. By execution of devotional service, under the guidance of spiritual master, one becomes free from all material attachment and attains, so that is anartha nivrutti, attains steadiness in self-realization, that is nishtha, acquires the taste for hearing about the absolute personality of Godhead, ruchi, nishtha, asakti, and ruchi. Sri Krishna. This taste leads one to the service toward the attachment for Krishna consciousness, that is asakti, which is matured in bhava or preliminary stage of transcendental love of God. Real love of God is called prema, the highest perfection stage of life. So, after becoming free from three prominent material conceptions of life, now person takes to the shelter of the Lord. What do you mean by taking shelter of the Lord? Starts following the regulative principles of devotional service. And by doing so, right from Adu Shraddha, one advances towards the stage of Bhava, and which is further perfected in Prema. So in this way, Prabhupada says, so by the slow process of devotional service under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, one can attain the highest stage, being freed from all material attachment, from fearfulness of one's individual spiritual personality, and from the frustrations of result in void philosophy. कितने बार ये पूरा पर्पट में 4 बार प्रभुपाद ने यही सेम कंसेप्ट बताया, 3 जो मटेरियल स्टेजेस है, at least 3 to 4 times Prabhupada is repeating it because these 3 are, so one has to become free from these concepts and take to devotional service. And Prabhupada says it's a slow process, it's a gradual process. Don't expect bhava immediately will come. वो भाव आने के लिए बहुत समय लगता है. It's a slow process. So devotee should not become impatient. One should take to this process. It will slowly act, and that's why devotee should be patient. Slowly, one will come to the stage of bhava. One cannot think that, okay, I have been practicing since so many years. Why I have not got bhava immediately? But we have been in material world since so many lifetimes. Do we expect that within 1 day or 2 days or some 10 years we should immediately come to bhava stage? That is not so easy, isn't it? So in this way, one comes to the bhava stage by the gradual process of devotional service. So His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu writes, beyond liberation is the stage of attaining transcendental love for Krishna. So without being purified by knowledge of Krishna, how can we ever reach him? We must. So that's why Bhavo Jnana Tapasa also. By one has to hear about Krishna, that is Jnana, transcendental knowledge. And in this way, one should get the transcendental knowledge of the Lord, which is superior to the knowledge of simply not being this material body, being the spirit, soul, and all that. So when one understands Krishna, when one gets knowledge of Krishna, one becomes further purified and eventually ascend to the platform of Bhava. So, if you see, the third chapter describes this attachment, fear, and anger as coverings of the soul. So when our assimilation of transcendental knowledge frees us from the attachment, fear, and anger, we can become fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Then always thinking of Krishna, we can take full shelter of him and attain for transcendental love. So first stage is becoming free from these 3 things. Next stage is tapasya and jnana. Next stage is devotional service, and to that attain bhava stage. So by hearing about Krishna, many persons in the past have become purified and attained love for Krishna. So they attained love for Krishna because this was their desire and Krishna fulfilled it. What then occurs when someone takes shelter of Krishna with something other than the desire to achieve transcendental love for him? What if somebody is not interested in Krishna's eternal service? What if somebody wants knowledge of Brahman and takes shelter of Krishna to obtain it? So that is all being spoken in the next series of verses. So a devotee who desires to see Krishna, to attain love for Krishna, he gets that result. But what if somebody doesn't want these things? He doesn't want to attain love of Krishna. He doesn't want to come to that bhava stage. He wants other things. What about that, which will be spoken in the next section? So this, with the 10th verse, this second section of this chapter ends. The second section was the divine nature of Lord Krishna's appearance. So that ends, and we will next tomorrow onwards we'll begin third section of this chapter, that is Krishna, the creator and culmination of all the paths. So that's what will be discussed in the next tomorrow's section. Thank you very much. Hare Granthara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah, so last time Shantanu Prabhu had asked this question about although the mind is born of goodness and intelligence is born from passion. So how intelligence is superior? Intelligence is superior. Huh?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so intelligence is superior because intelligence, which is referred to over there in Bhagavad Gita, so is the intelligence which is derived by from Guru Sadhu Shastra. That intelligence is superior. But in general, the materialistic intelligence is always under the control of mind, and that's why it is inferior to mind. Primary functions of mind is the maintenance of this material body, whereas the primary functions of intelligence is the creation of newer ideas for material enjoyment. And that's why that creation is in mode of passion, maintenance is in mode of goodness, and that's why mind is superior. For a conditioned soul, the conditioned intelligence is inferior, conditioned mind is superior. But the intelligence which is derived from Guru Sadhu Shastra is superior. That's how. So that's the real state of an intelligence. But because it gets corrupted by this thing, matter, so it becomes inferior, and that's how he is manifest through passionate ways of sense gratification. So that's how it is inferior. In materially corrupted intelligence is inferior, but spiritually enlightened intelligence is superior. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, thank you.
If you want to know more details, there is His Grace Chaitanya Charanpur's article about the same point. Or Mohan Sakha Prabhu can forward that to devotees. He has explained it in details. Okay, so we can stop for today. We will meet tomorrow.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.